What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BitLab Academy Daily Show. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Again, welcome to the show. My name is Kelly Kellam, and I'm happy to have each and every single one of you here. If this is your first time, I can guarantee you it's not going to be your last time. We break down the markets, the context of what's going on. It's all about digital assets, but yes, we dive into a little bit of what's going on with the traditional markets as well as it relates to the pressures of the risk on, risk off mentality. Throw a one in chat if you're feeling okay, if you're feeling good, if you're feeling you're alive. Throw a one in chat. Let's get this chat pumping today. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. Let me know if there's any issue with audio visual. You can hear everything, if you can see everything well. I got my haircut yesterday. I'll tell you what I'm bearish on is my hairline. My hairline is dipping. Come around here. I got somebody just popped in here for a moment. Hey, yo.
What's up, everybody? If you have not smashed the like button, what are you doing with your life right now? Smash the like button. Yeah, if you like this beard, yeah, we'll put it on top.
Oh, you covered my bald spot.
There we go.
Covering the bald spot, baby.
Love you. Love you guys. Smash the like button.
So in 30 seconds, what is the answer to exactly what's going to happen in the market? If people are wondering what is happening in the market.
It's bullish. The charts are bullish. The news is bullish. It's bullish. It might take a second. Be patient. You don't have to have it right now, but it's bullish. Hang in there, hodl on, wait for those profits.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mr. Timbo Slice in the house. Tim's TA. Oh, man. Good. He just poked his head in here. I wasn't expecting that, but that was all good. Throw a CJ in chat if you know what I'm talking about, how me and Tim know each other. We used to work together on another show. If you've been around since then, throw that. You know, we've been in the space for a minute. Of course, we end up on different channels, but we're here together. We're friends. We're family. It's all of us. I didn't see. I'm guessing the audio visual is good because everybody is commenting along. It's all good. So, well, we got some stuff to talk about today. We got some numbers that came out today, could impact the markets. We got the question is the Fed about to print trillions of dollars? They keep talking. They kind of slow playing it, what they're going to do. It's, but there's some data, or there's some there's some framing if you consider what's going on and what they're trying to navigate that would sort of insinuate, or imply that it's very likely that we're going to be getting some heavy money printing here coming very soon. What does that mean for markets? Is that money going to go right in the markets? Does it mean Bitcoin's going to go up? Is it just a facade? How do we contend with this? And then, of course, we had Hong Kong open yesterday, and I think I deleted it, but let me go ahead and pump right here. Let's see. This is Crimson Caravan Company sent me this. This is interesting. Just as Hong Kong's opening, the yuan stablecoin team reportedly arrested. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what's going on there. I don't think we're gonna dive into the story much, but there's a little bit of seesawing back and forth with the news, with what's everything going on. So I just want to make sure, if you haven't yet, we got 68 people in the room. Man, the numbers are getting low. People are getting bored of this market. So hit that like button if you're in the room. We got some great stuff to share today. If you haven't yet, actually, let me come back here. If you haven't yet, make sure you're following all the socials down here on the bottom. Check out bitlabacademy.com. And then, of course, come over here. Check me out on my profile. Make sure you're following the correct one. It's me with the check mark and with the hit right here next to my name. It's at KELOY KELLAM. And then, of course, if you haven't yet seen this, we'll actually come right over to the BitLab page. Make sure you're retweeting today's tweet right here. Come and follow us. Hit that retweet. Hit that like button. You get entered to win, which we are drawing today. And I think we're going to do 2 winners today because we have another tweet that I want you to retweet today. And that is, where did it go? It is at the top. Boom. Right here. This is what happened to it? Did my tweet get disappeared? Hold on a second. What? Now we're having some. Okay. I thought I just had an issue. I thought the Twitter got shut down. I was having a heart attack there. So this tweet, I just tweeted it. I pinned it up here today. This is the first. It's not the whole portion of it. This is the first hour of the AMA meeting session within the BitLab Academy Discord. And basically, the first hour of it was a lot of the running down of what's all new in BitLab Academy, how you can upgrade, how you can change, how you can operate all the functionality inside BitLab Academy. Also, information that if you've ever been a member before and you canceled, you can still go to bitlabacademy.com and log in with your old email and password. And once you do that, there's a whole process in here. It shows you how you can go into my account, subscribe the subscriptions, view your old subscription. You can resubscribe. You'll be resubscribing at the old rate, the lower rate. We want to make sure anybody that ever was a member before was able to be grandfathered in. And then, of course, if you haven't joined yet, you can use code GIVEME30 for 30% off. This code, it was going to expire yesterday, but we decided to extend it through the weekend because we hadn't shared this AMA video yet. We are going to be doing AMAs in the Discord every Wednesday. We're going to be doing more than that, but scheduled on a scheduled basis, where every Wednesday on the BitLab Academy. If you go into the BitBoy Lab, which is the BitLab Discord, and you scroll down, once you're a paying member, you scroll down to the VIP AAA section, you'll see BitLab Stage. That's where the AMAs are happening. And we talk, we share charts. We can break down things a little further if you didn't quite capture it or understand it fully with any of the courses or anything new going on. It's all about community. It's all about getting involved with each other. Now, let me just go ahead and take a peek right here. Oh, my boy is sitting there waiting in the wings. We got a little delayed there. My apologies. I'm going to be bringing you up on here just a second, Mr. Bill. I just wanted to show everybody really quick. We're getting, this is the two levels that I was talking about on Bitcoin. We have these two different likely potentialities where we come down, retrace up and then reject back down, come down to this, potentially even down, retesting the lows at 25.8. And at that level, we can reassess that the momentum and velocity is going to carry us beyond that. But when we're in this level, we're at this stage in the market, or this stage in uncertainty within global markets, I should say, uncertainty and risk, we have to look at things. Sure, we can have targets out multiple $1,000, multiple, tens and 20s or more percents away, but we have to look at things level by level. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to be diving in. We're going to be doing a bunch of TA tour. We're going to kind of sprinkle it throughout, but we've got some bigger concepts that we want to talk about today that is going to impact all these levels that we're talking about. Is the Fed going to print trillions? Is it just a facade? Does it matter if they print? Is it really even printing if they're just creating debt to pay off old debt to create more? It seems like a vicious cycle. So with that being said, my boy, Blue, Mr. Bill Noble, how you doing? It's a Friday morning. How you feeling? You're looking good today, baby. You're looking crisp.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm
good
doing
to be
well.
Here.
So what's your general? We had some jobs numbers this morning. We had Hong Kong. Everybody thought Hong Kong June 1st. That means immediate liquidity in. We've got Apple pushing new all-time highs. We got Bitcoin still chopping around. What the hell is going on, Bill?
Okay, let's break it down. So $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank. And they got a little bubblicious action going on over there where, AI is going to change everything. It's the same mentality that drove the tech bubble in 2000. It's like the internet increases productivity, right, with less people. AI increases productivity with less people. Okay. So everybody's corporate margins, everybody's earnings multiples, stocks can just grow and grow. The finance book kind of goes out the window. Right. So stocks up. Right. And it's the easiest thing because quant funds are buying and retail is selling or is short, and stock rallies don't end until retail buys. Okay. Now, this is nauseating for crypto investors because it's like, wow, not only are equity investors retail short stocks and losing money and they're not buying crypto. It's like, please. So we're sitting here in crypto in this boring range. Now, I figured out last night why it's boring. Today, you have the...
You got the sauce. All right, let's hear it.
I got the sauce. So on one hand, we have these job numbers that come out. The job market is okay, but clearly the government is doing something with the numbers. Every month, the numbers are way higher than expected. That's happened like 7 months in a row, and we know that's not true. We know it's
I got to pause you real quick before we move on here, because on that specific note, I noticed we were like 100 something plus thousand over on the employment numbers, but then also increased on the unemployment. How does that even happen?
Okay, well, with the unemployment number, it can be impacted by the number of people entering the workforce, right? So if another people enter the workforce, right, the unemployment number actually can go up, right? Yeah. Same thing can happen if there's a lot of ways that these numbers can change. They're great for people like, oh, the unemployment rate is, and that allows them to wrap their head around the economy. All right, now, if everyone's looking at the same thing, it's wrong. So right now, everybody in the algos or whatever, they're all looking at the jobs number. Now, what I found out last night from some very smart institutional people is that there are revisions in productivity reports showing wage inflation is basically gone from 5% to 3% to 1%, right? That the U.S. gig economy that was so, that fueled tech, okay, is done. So Bitcoin on one hand is caught between, the fact that the government has to come in and borrow a lot of money. That's not going to be made easier by, this jobs number this morning, which people think are going to make interest rates go up. So that's what's keeping Bitcoin down. But what's keeping Bitcoin, that's what's keeping Bitcoin from going up. But what's keeping Bitcoin from going down is I can't be the only person that knows that wage inflation is going away. Matter of fact, it's gone, right? In other words, you don't have the ability anymore to go in and demand a 25% raise. It's not happening. It's done. So prices may be moving higher at the grocery store, but that may just all of a sudden fall out of bed. In other words, I'm painting a picture of a world where the Fed goes, wow, we were hiking rates. We were going to go to 5.25%. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Inflation's at 1%. In other words, people think we'll never see 2% again. And we're there now on wages. So what's that going to do? Well, that's going to put a floor underneath Bitcoin. So we have a floor underneath and a ceiling on the top, right? And we just sit like an ice cream sandwich. Boring. Okay, now the question becomes not when do you buy the dip? Like I was thinking July. Okay, I'm getting a little impatient. I'm getting a little impatient because institutions know that the Fed is done. And as you've noted, if the Fed is done, right, if the Fed's got this report that says there's no wage inflation, they'll be like, oh, the Treasury needs to borrow $1 trillion. All right, well, just start putting money in the system. Or, the Treasury will do what Arthur Hayes is talking about, which is, kind of all over the place, is that the Treasury overborrows and then takes some of that money and injects it into the system, right? It's called Treasury QE, right? So instead of the Fed kind of doing the printing, the Treasury has a way of doing stealth printing. Now, what does this mean?
Do you think it's like it's their way of kind of roundabout getting done what they need done without having to say we're printing, but they're doing effectively the same thing through a different mechanism?
Right. In other words, in case they can't get control of inflation, the Treasury's doing it instead of the Fed. Right. It doesn't look like the Fed is tightening on one hand and printing on the other. Like you tighten on retail, make mortgages go up, credit card rates go up, and print to help institutions. It's not a good look. Okay. In either case, what does this mean for gold and crypto? Okay. If you have some inflation, but the Fed is sort of constrained, right? That's super bullish for gold, right? If you have a situation where the Fed is done, once the government gets done borrowing its money, once the June either indigestion or boredom ends, boom, crypto is off to the races. I think off to the races because, again, the banking system is going to crater, right? I mean, none of that has changed. The only thing that's changed is, the Fed now has an excuse to be done so that when the banking thing happens, they come in with the big money printing.
Well, let me. I shared this tweet with you. You're not, and I set it up this time to where I actually have your Zoom audio doubled into my share screen, so you can comment on this as well. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's that Balaji tweet that I shared that kind of highlights some of the issues here, and I think people need to be aware of this. He says, if the debt ceiling is raised, then Treasury can borrow again, and they be borrowing a lot, months at once. Trillions in treasuries, but who has that kind of capital? And this is the important caveat here. I think that you just touched on a bit too there, Bill. Who has that kind of capital? Not banks died buying bonds. Okay, not foreigners now buying gold. It's the Fed with the yield control. And essentially, one of the things that he points out in this thread is that one of the ways that that the government has historically been able to raise money is selling treasuries and selling bonds. And there's a huge decline. If we go down in this thread, I forget, it's right here. This is the foreign holders of U.S. treasuries as a percent of total debt. So what we're seeing is not just foreign holders, but also if we think about the banking crisis right now, coming back over to you, Bill, thinking about the banking crisis right now in conjunction, this is why everybody, I am as all in as you could be on digital assets, but I am as focused as I can be on what the monetary moves are going to be globally and with traditional assets risk sort of sentiment is, because Bitcoin is not yet and probably will still be a while before it truly breaks away from the global sort of narrative of risk on, risk off mentality. It's going to be probably another cycle and a half at minimum, if not more. We might start seeing some periods of separation, but when the banks and people and national sovereigns are, natural, what I'm saying, the governments are now are seeing issues with their economies because of the way monetary policy has been managed. And they used to think buying treasuries was a no risk. Let's be realistic. Every investment, no matter how low risk it is going to have risk. And what we've seen in this last year and a half is a flip-flopping of the things that were supposed to be low risk have now put pressures and squeezed the life out of some of the biggest banks in history because of where they put their capital for low risk, for their low risk sort of hedge. So this is why right now, okay, they may say they're not going to print, but what's their other option? I mean, you just listed two of them, but it's not selling treasuries and bonds because, I mean, they will be able to sell some of those, but there's no faith. The faith is diminished in that greatly. So what to do?
Okay, here's how I think it plays out. I think the Treasury is going to come into the financial system, and with rates between 4 and 5%, okay, especially if the wage inflation is a lot lower than we think it is, or that's currently reported, the financial system as a whole will say, oh yeah, we'll take the 4 and 5% treasuries because rates a year from now are going to be a lot lower. Okay, so all the money leaves the system and goes to Uncle Sugar, right? Now, who's going to lend money to commercial real estate? Who's going to lend money for junk bonds? Who's going to buy new junk bonds? Who's going to buy old junk bonds? Who's going to buy Blackstone? How are they going to get financing? Guess what? They're not. So who's the lender of last resort? The Fed. Is the Fed going to lend it or print it? Both. Both. So whether they print it for the Treasury or they print it for somebody else, they're going to have to print. They're going to have to print. I mean, the jobs number was so fantastic and dollar index is barely moving this morning. That's the other thing for crypto that you have to keep an eye on, right? Oh, jobs number is tremendous. Okay. Dollar index should be up 1%. It's barely moving.
Pull it up. Pull up that dollar index. Let's look at it. Let's integrate some charts in this discussion along the way, because
okay.
It's one of those things that we've been looking at. I've been looking at it for 5 years, but I've been looking at it like a hawk. Is almost, I won't say as often as I look at the Bitcoin chart, but I look at it, throughout each day multiple times, because it seems like for the last 4 months we've been kind of on this edge, not 4 months, about 3 months. We've been on this edge of, the dollar might fall, the dollar might lose that support, and then it bounced off it resiliently and then got rejected. And it's going to lose that support, and then it bounced off it. Now it's again in this sort of double bottom W-shaped formation and still kind of below at the lower high, but it's it's anybody's guess right now. You know, this whole argument with Drunken Miller saying things are uncertain, but then you see the article that Will Clemente shared a day or two ago with Soros and Drunken Miller talking about shorting the British pound and going for the jugular because you know the worst isn't over yet. So it's like, let's look at this chart. Let's get some context to what we're talking about.
Okay, let me pull up DXY. By the way, to date myself, that was my first or second full year in the market. I actually saw that trade happen.
And everybody, if you haven't yet, make sure you're going to, I'm going to throw it over here real quick, Bill. If you haven't yet, make sure you go over to follow. Well, I don't know why this thing is saying you haven't tweeted. I know you have. There it is. Make sure you're giving Mr. Noble a follow. It's at Crypto Noble right here. And again, we are doing 2 giveaways today. Make sure if you come over here to BitLab Academy, which is at Academy BitLab, if you retweet this tweet that we posted today with the basically rundown of everything in BitLab Academy, follow us, hit that retweet, hit that like button. You're going to be entered to win. I think we're going to do a 3-month membership to both the courses and the indicators. That's a pretty good deal there that you're going to be getting for free. And then of course also the daily tweet that we have here from today's stream. If you retweet this, you get entered to win as well, because we already did a drawing on Fridays. I just wanted to point that out, get everybody in the know. Now let's look at this chart, and everybody, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got 241 people in here, only 93 likes. That means you don't like crypto. That means you don't like investments. Let's get those likes up. Now, Bill, over to you, my man.
Okay, so let's just go basic retracement theory, right? The dollar went up. Why did the dollar go up? Well, anybody, like I said, Uncle Sugar is going to suck all the money out of the market. The debt ceiling has been removed, which means they can borrow again. So everybody who was afraid that they weren't going to be able to borrow the dollar went out to the foreign exchange market and bought it. They took whatever currency they had and they exchanged it to get dollars. So the dollar goes up on the debt ceiling crisis. Debt ceiling crisis resolved. Economic data comes out. Dollar goes, boom, dollar goes down. Now, dollar stopped conveniently at the 76% retracement of this down move. That's very typical in legacy. When you have a move, you'll retrace 76%, wash out a lot of shorts, right? And then they'll drop it again. Now, the level I'm looking at in the dollar index, not to get into the minutia, is probably around 104. This is the thing I want. This is the thing you have to keep an eye on, and this is sort of like the BitLab lesson. You want to be looking at relative performance, right? Strong jobs number, great. Does the dollar maintain a bid? It'll maintain a bid today because the algos see the job number and buy. But when they digest it and they come in on Monday after reading Barron's, right? That's the Wall Street Journal weekend. That's a joke from Legacy. You know, everybody would get emotional on Friday and then really read research on Saturday and Sunday, and then the actual trade occurs Monday. So if you see the dollar index start failing, that's a sign that you're like T-minus 30 days to a Bitcoin rally. Now, of course, the dollar goes up, you know, all right. That means Uncle Sugar is sucking all the money out and people are still scared and they're buying dollars. But you know what? I'm not as upset about that as I normally would have been. I'm not. You know, in other words, the worst case scenario in Bitcoin, like literally, especially after seeing these figures last night. And I don't even know how it's going to get down there. The worst case scenario in Bitcoin is a simple A, B, C, D, E. It's just from Elliott wave. It's just, you know, it's just a way for the market to go sideways. And a lot of times, the more annoying these things are, the more violent the ensuing up moves can be. So if you go to the dollar index, okay, dollar should stop here. It's upticking, who cares, right? It's on a number that I think, frankly, is manipulated, right? The job situation and the wage situation is different, or at least it's being reported that way at the institutional level. So what's the net? What's smart money doing? Are they trading off what's in the newspaper, or are they trading off data that's hard to see, that you need a macro research service to dig out? It's the latter.
Yeah, it's you know, it's the dollar index is one of those heavily, I think, undervalued tools to understand just, it's of course, I will say that it is broad, but it does give a good sort of index of the health of the sentiment that's actually actionably playing out in markets of, that risk narrative. So what chart you got pulling up now?
Okay. So, I think we got to look at like 90-minute Bitcoin. So really what the game is now is, even though it's hard to be patient, it's actually a little easier because you've got a number coming out that everyone's all excited about. The job market's decent, but we're looking for the opportunity because we know, or at least we think we know, what's happening to wage inflation. So with that note, you got support at 26,700. So Bitcoin is in this earth-shattering range between 26.7 and 27.2. And I guess if you look at the DeMark Elliott wave, right, if this is a third wave down and that's a 4-wave up, right, there might be a low below 26,500. You may get one last final puke, right? If you look at ETH, right, I mean, ETH is such a nightmare. It's trapped between 1895 and 1882, right? Now, with ETH, these rectangular ranges, in my mind, have always been bullish. They've always been bullish. Now, there's always a case for it to go lower, but how is Ethereum going to go down, right? How is it going to go down unless you have an interest rate debacle? How does it go down if inflation and the Fed is going to have to start getting looser and start printing? How is that going to happen? That's why Ethereum is frozen in its tracks. It's just because the bullish catalyst isn't here yet. And you know what? In crypto, the only thing worse than down is sideways. Ethereum bottom end of the range is 1854. Right. And then, if you want to go into XRP, I think that's also very, very relevant. I don't know if you want to do that now or later.
Oh, I had no audio there on the stream. So now here it is. I'm back. Everybody, that was just a test to see if you were paying attention. Essentially, I was saying Ethereum now is different than it was a year ago. Do you think that is undervalued on the fundamental basis now that it is deflationary in nature? Do you think that that has caught up to the sentiment and how people are pricing it and trading it in the market?
Okay, I think the Ethereum pricing issue comes down to Web 2 versus Web 3. So if we look at NVIDIA, right, on this chart, this is a weekly chart of NVIDIA. This God candle here added $220 billion to the market cap of NVIDIA, bringing it up to a $1 trillion market cap. Okay, now, of course, this is involved in AI. I get it. But the total market cap of Ethereum is $228 billion. So NVIDIA did in one day, they added $225 billion to market cap in one day to one stock for an AI phenomenon that is growing. All right, fine. But so is the monetary problem. The market cap of Ethereum, according to ChatGPT, is $228 billion. So NVIDIA did in one day the total market cap of Ethereum. And what does that mean to you? I don't know. What it means to me is that Ethereum is probably just too cheap. And if they're burning it and reducing the supply, right, the reason it just sits still is, yeah, there are reasons for crypto to go down, like rising dollar, rising interest rates, government borrowing tons of money. I've been wah about this for a month, 2 weeks. Now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You know, if they actually dip this thing, you know, Ethereum, just like Web3 versus Web2, it's just so cheap. They're tripping over themselves to buy NASDAQ, and the crypto market has got a whole new form of money, whole new forms of money that people are going to need like soon, right? We're in a Gann period where we're in a revolution on money and no one's paying attention. That could change quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, right now at the bottoms and tops of markets. Tops is, I think, in a bizarre way, it's hard to take profits, so it feels like it's more difficult to look at, but to determine valuations. But bottoms of markets, more specifically, people get so blinded by the fear of it going lower that we forget at periods. I don't care how good of a economist or trader or investor anybody's been has been in their life or gets to, or experience in history, doesn't matter. We all get trapped by that emotional hijacking and that's what the markets do. And especially in a context right now, it's hard in a general sort of economic landscape, global economic landscape. But right now it's just, it's so hard to, on an everyday basis, remind ourselves, what do the fundamentals say? Let me forget the price. What do the fundamentals say? Is there in this X-axis, Y-axis, Ethereum axis, Bitcoin axis, it doesn't matter whatever asset you're looking at. What do the fundamentals say? Is there an increase in use case? Do I understand what the fundamentals of the tokenomics and the supply and demand dynamics? Looking at these fundamentals is really what I think for myself helps me cut the noise, silence the emotions that I'm having and saying, okay, well, I believe in this. I believe in Ethereum. It's deflationary now. It has the broadest ecosystem of anything. It has I would argue a broader ecosystem, a bigger ecosystem than Bitcoin. In some ways, it has a stronger use case than Bitcoin. Some would argue, Bitcoin maximalists would hear that, because there's such a large, literally most of the crypto ecosystem is built on top of Ethereum. So for people to, one, whether you like it or not, that's just a fact. But two, when we're seeing where we're at right now in price, and price is down and it's going sideways, and as you said, it's a killer. It's a killer of portfolios, because people get too anxious now. And I think, you know, we had this discussion. I was on our Twitter Spaces last night, and we were talking about the meme craze that's kind of happened. And, you know, one of the speculations was it's because, you know, part of it is born out of the boredom of the market right now. There's nothing to happen. So, okay, well, we can all, you know, push money into this asset and get some action somewhere, like drive sort of excitement. And what I have learned in the past, and sometimes I have to remind myself of this, is if I'm chasing excitement in a market, then I'm gambling. If I'm chasing actually diligent strategic investment, then there's far more profits to be made in boring markets if you can keep focused with strategy than chasing that quick buck. You know, what's your thoughts currently on that sort of, you know, the sort of 2 months, month and a half sort of meme cycle that came out of nowhere, that it's just, do you think that was much new liquidity coming in from outsiders, or do you think that was a lot of liquidity taken from people in the market that are bored, just pulling it out of these other assets, in some ways causing some bearish pressure on the other assets in the ecosystem?
Right. I like the idea of boredom. I also like the idea of distraction, right? Like meme mania. Like sometimes I ask myself, you know, who mooned Pepe like that? You know, they couldn't moon any of the other meme coins like that. You know, was Pepe a gigantic engineered distraction?
Like a market maker's sort of formula?
Possibly, right? In other words, if I'm trying to grab everybody's Bitcoin or everybody's Ethereum, or don't laugh, everybody's XRP, let me get everybody selling their crypto your big cap crypto to jump in and go to the casino, right? In other words, you know,
Cash
if
grab.
if you're playing video games and you're not out playing basketball, right? You're sort of like, I don't know, the video games are cool, but what would be the benefit if you paid attention to your game so you could make the big shot when you needed to? The big shot that you need to make in this market is to be on these big cap cryptos and gold, okay? If they give you a dip, which is the big tension point, right? If they give you the dip, or if the dip is nasty and you get scared away, right? I know people have gotten rattled in meme coins. Like people have, they chase, and they get rugged and they get wrecked. Then they're going to say to themselves, well, okay, I give up. And then, Bitcoin's going to go. And if they sold big cap crypto to gamble in meme coins, let me ask you a question. Who did you sell that crypto to? Who was the buyer? Okay. I'm going to tell you who the buyer was. Somebody big like Novogratz from Galaxy Digital. Somebody big, I think, is going to hoover up crypto, because however it plays out, the way I talked about it, the way you talked about it, the way Arthur Hayes talked about it, they're going to have to print. And I don't even know if that's going to work with the banking system and commercial real estate. But they're going to have to stop tightening. They're going to have to print. And the chickens are going to come home to roost on their credibility, right? That means dollar lower, crypto up. That could be crypto up massively.
Yeah,
Gold up massively.
I agree with that. And there's a super chat here, actually, from Matt C. Says, thank you, Bill, for bringing your extensive knowledge of the TradFi world to the crypto ecosystem and tying it all together. And it's true. I think 4 years ago, these aren't conversations that were had broadly within the crypto ecosystem, and people are getting wiser and understanding that, it's not, the crypto ecosystem isn't as much of a casino anymore with, the top 100, top 200. But the further you go down the list, it still has that impact. Think like, for instance, Pepe was completely uncorrelated from anything. It just got pumped because, as you mentioned, Bill, it likely engineered. But we need to be aware, and I've said this a lot on this channel, we need to be aware of what's happening on the global economic stage, because these monetary policies or decisions are now affecting people that have hundreds of millions of dollars in various assets, including Bitcoin, and they're going to manage their portfolio the way they always have until something in a big way changes, which is why I do think it's going to take some time to get to that point where, Bitcoin is some uncorrelated asset, which I don't think we'll ever fully get to in the, I don't say ever, in the next 15 years. I do think there's still going to be some directional correlation, but there's just so much going on in the world now. I see you're sharing something here.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I moved. I want to go. I want to go to S&P. Let me just go to S&P. Okay, so there we go. All right, I want to go to a really strange chart. I want to go to QQQ.
It's we got another super chat. It said, I like Bill. May be wrong, but sure sounds right. Well, at the end of the day, and this is a good point. This is from Stumbledore, his super chat. Whether you listen to me or you listen to Bill, or you listen to Caleb Franzen, or you listen to BitBoy or Frankie Candles or CryptoFace, all of us are only meant to be one bird chirping in a whole flock of birds that you're listening to. That entire flock is only supposed to inform your sort of sentiment analysis and knowledge base that you're sort of pulling in from others. But it comes down to each one of you individually to put these pieces together and see what you feel like works best based on the tools and strategies and analysis that you're doing. And part of that analysis is listening to me and Bill and these other influencers, but then sort of dissecting what people are saying and figuring out, okay, I feel like he's right here, but totally wrong here. And Bill is right here, but I don't agree with this. And you have to formulate your own sort of analysis on these markets. So it's okay if somebody's speaking with conviction and you agree with some and you don't agree with other, but sometimes you'll completely disagree with them. And then 3 months later, I'd be looking back going, damn, they were so right. Because sometimes these things, somebody could be calling something bullish and then you'll see a 20% pullback. And then you say, how wrong were they? And then it does a 600% gain over the next 3 months. things happen in context and really develop over time in these markets. So back over to you, Bill.
Okay. So on research, right? In research, you get paid for imagination, right? The job of a researcher or an analyst, which is what I am, is to try and help traders, right? You know, and this happened when I used to work at Goldman. I would do a presentation and the guys would walk out and go, you know what? I think Bill's analysis is going to break. And when it does, I'm going to go the other way and make tons of money and send Bill some love, right? In other words, if I made you think, right, to super chat in to say you're wrong, I did my job. Now, I know in crypto, YouTube, they expect a 100% accuracy rate. I'm doing my best. Now, on this chart, right, you have QQQ yearly. So that big 9, you know, in DeMark work, that can signal an end or a pause in a trend. So this broader uptrend since 2010, it's telling you that sometime this year, stocks will put in kind of like the high, and there will be a substantial correction bigger than last year, right? Last year's down move was not enough to derail this DeMark uptrend. So if you have some kind of ridiculously euphoric move in technology stocks, that's eventually going to get unwound. And I think that's in October. Now, that may hurt crypto initially, but that's when I think a decoupling can occur. Because when everybody realizes that, you know, maybe participating in a stock bubble with a banking system crisis is not a good idea, right? When they figure that out, they're going to go, oh, wait, Ethereum's only got a $220 billion market cap. My money's in a bank that may fail. How much Bitcoin have I got? Ooh, not enough. So stock market up, the stock market bubble, when it pops, that can allow for a decoupling. Because again, you know, Bitcoin's doing this and the stock market's doing this. Okay. And then it just unwinds itself. Right. All that money, all that buying power is in the wrong place. Now that can persist. It's not going to end tomorrow. They may give you a dip in Bitcoin. I want to do Bitcoin in July, but I saw this report last night and I go, oh my God, how many more days do I have to hold off for July? Oh my God, it's June 2nd. Can I actually do it? Especially watching these monkeys bid up tech stocks, like, you know, it's crazy what they're doing. The liquidity is going to the wrong place. And when the liquidity shifts back to crypto, that's when you get the big move. And that's why you don't want to be distracted. You want to be there in July, September, and November. You know, it's almost like crypto. Instead of calling it crypto winter, you want to call it the off season, where you do your training, right? You do your BitLab. You concentrate on the charts. You try to find a dip. You know, you start looking at XRP maybe at a $26 million market cap or $26 billion market cap and say, if they beat the SEC lawsuit and Ripple is not selling over the top to fund itself, where can that go? Because there's been bubbles this year. You know, in other words, you know, if Pepe can do something insane, if NVIDIA can do something insane, you know, what's the next thing that can do something insane? You've been listening to these XRP guys for years. Now, I don't hear as much about it. Well, guess what? I'm on TikTok getting loud about it. You know, $26 million market cap, especially if the Bitcoin network gets slowed down, right? If they slow down the Bitcoin network with this ordinals thing, right? How about a fast cryptocurrency that could be used as money? Let me ask you this. How's Target going to get people back into their stores? Right?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the technological culture shift. I think the pandemic really accelerated people's habits of ordering online, right? And being comfortable with also, I mean, there's a process to learning how to retail online. You know what I mean? Because 7 years ago, I would have never, ever considered buying something that was clothing based that I had to wear. I would never have bought it online. I almost never buy something in a brick and mortar store now. Maybe once every 3 months or less than that, I'll buy something like in terms of like clothing in a store. But I do want to shout out Army Piper. He said, "Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Kelly. Just wanted to drop in and show some love. I identify as a retired degen." That's from Army Piper from the Investing Bros. Yeah, you know what? I can't call myself a retired degen, but comparatively, you could. I mean, I used to be full degen to the max all the way. I mean, I was making good money. My old 20s, over 200 grand, 20s into early 30s. I didn't save $1 until I got into crypto, until I started trading in my late 20s, and then really started getting into crypto. And I saw the value of how just like you're talking about with the XR, not only the XRP case, but with Bitcoin, with all the things that we talk about here. There's such an opportunity. Every dollar I spend that's not that I don't absolutely need to spend, I feel like I'm stealing $10,000 from myself. And so I still dabble in a little bit of more risky, asset plays, but they're, even with that degen play, I do it risk managed with a, very, very low percentage allocation. But yeah, let's continue on this thread that you're on. I didn't mean to derail you. I just wanted to call out Army Piper's super chat there.
Always good to hear from Army. So XRP on a weekly basis, right? The DeMark stuff. So you know how I showed that QQQ on an annual basis was coming to the end? Well, XRP on a weekly chart, it's like you can go 1 through 9, and this could be the second of 9 up weeks. I mean, XRP, if you look back 2 years ago, XRP was at 50 cents, right? XRP has done nothing, right, for so long. It's done nothing for so long, right? That, it's had these wake up periods, but XRP is hung out here for how long?
Starting to very slowly. It doesn't mean it's going to continue, but the first indication I see just on the price action alone, it is rounding. It's starting to round to the upside. It's almost looking like a rounded ascending triangle, at the flat, so almost a flat level of resistance, and the support line is sort of rounding to the upside. There's a little bit of a sentiment momentum shift there. I think people are anticipating, and we need to all be aware of this, everybody, as well. It's not just you or me or Bill that's aware of the potential. We have to remember this: the potential ending to the SEC XRP case. A lot of people, especially after the Brad Garlinghouse comments last week, a lot of people are expecting it. He said this multiple times, but now everybody's looking for that first carrot when what's going to kick the bull market into gear. And for XRP has had enough. There's enough weight around the potential decision in the XRP SEC case that could be something that does kickstart the gears of the truly bullish impulses broadly across the market. Because if the SEC decision, or actually it's not their decision, if the court's decision is in favor of XRP, and the wording, the tone of it has to do with that can be related to a lot of other assets in terms of what's the word that we're looking for when you have a case. You all know the word I'm talking about, but not grounds. Legal basis, I guess.
Precedent.
Legal precedent. If there's going to be everybody's banking not just on XRP coming out of this positively, but a lot of people are looking at this as if the decision has positive impact on XRP, then it's going to set hopefully a healthy and more empowering legal precedent that will buoy the rest of the market as well, because it will relieve some of the uncertain risk about what could or couldn't be. Everybody's thinking this decision is what's going to set the legal precedent for I cannot speak to it. Security is within the legal ecosystem. But if the decision comes and there's, for instance, a settlement, which is probably the most likely, and within that settlement, there's just the legal precedent is set that is very murky, then that may have good impact for the XRP, but it may actually bring down other assets in the space. So we need to be very aware that there's a lot riding on this, in just like the market, up, down, or sideways, based on what this legal precedent is.
Okay, so with XRP, this is sort of my thought process, right? I mean, obviously, if the government wins the lawsuit, then XRP and the whole rest of the system is going to be repriced, right? Now, if they win the case, or if there's some sort of like neutral outcome, okay, Gensler has been repudiated. I think the fact that XRP has been able to hang in court this long, like if they're going 16 rounds with the big scary fighter, okay, XRP in many ways has won unless the court just shuts it off. Now, Why is that important? Well, because everybody's scared of Gensler, right? Do you remember this argument back in December? Oh, I can't buy Ethereum. There's too much regulatory problems with that. Oh, yeah, can't touch it. Hey, folks, Gensler was wrong. He missed FTX. They tried to FUD crypto. They tried to FUD everything. It didn't work. Now they've got RFK Jr. at Bitcoin Miami, right? Trying to get the crypto vote. And DeSantis is going to try to get the crypto vote, because if you have a tight electorate, a 3 or 4-way race, whoever gets the crypto vote is going to win. So guess what? You're going to go from having Gensler on the tape going, trying to scare everybody. You're going to have politicians on the tape soon going, you know what? We're against CBDCs and we want to protect your right to Bitcoin or crypto in general. I mean, a bipartisan bill was introduced yesterday, right, to sort of, bring clarity to the world of digital assets. Politicians are hip to this. The crypto vote swings tight elections. So if XRP wins this case, right, the question is, what's next? Okay, well, then what's next is, here's a revolution. Politicians stop FUDding crypto. They start pumping crypto. Whoever's bags get pumped the most, yeah, they get the votes.
Everybody throw a 1 in chat if you like. I mean, what he just said is, it's one of those things. There's so many things that are in the cogwheel right now of what could happen. And I mean, that's one of those things I think a lot of people aren't really talking about. XRP's decision, the decision in the XRP SEC case will catalyze political sort of ideologues and pundits and basically the space as a whole of how they can really move within the space. Now, if the decision comes down negatively, if the decision comes down negatively, then we're going to see a very far separation of political ideologies and in coming out trying to really reform what the SEC really even is, which I already think should happen anyway, but also pushing back against this sort of central bank pressure on the government, which is really what I would argue all this is. But if the SEC wins this case in court, or even the settlement is very positive, leaning very positively, that's going to give the juice to politicians to feel more freely and openly about supporting this. And we actually brought up a story on this show. I think it was Monday, that it was something like 84% of people had said that they were requiring that they wanted politicians to, their vote was going to be influenced by a politician's sort of stance on crypto regulation and empowerment or shutting down. So there is a big call for this right now, and there are tens of millions of Americans that are getting involved with crypto, and it's more and more, especially anytime there's any sort of a bullish trend. Every bullish trend for the broad market for the digital asset ecosystem drives. I mean, it's the best PR agent in the world. Anytime we get big bull pushes, the inflow, you can see it on on-chain data. You can see it with the new address momentum. You can see it with a lot of different metrics, that it's the best mechanism for onboarding new people.
Listen, the FUD that came from crypto at crypto came from the current administration, right? They don't want 6-figure Bitcoin because it's going to make them look bad. Well, guess what? They're probably not going to be in power anyway. They're not. Okay. Or somebody else from that party will be in either case, right? Crypto is going to be seen as a right? It's going to be like financial freedom is going to become a part of personal freedom, right? And if that happens and you have politicians on the tape, I mean, what happens if you have politicians at crypto conferences? Like, do you think this thing that RFK did at Bitcoin Miami, like no one's going to follow that? Okay. So this idea that the people want crypto, the people get crypto, could happen because people like consensus in April was a funeral. Everybody was up there like, okay, well, I guess we got to talk about regulation because there's nothing else to talk about. No, I walked out and I go, you know what? If everyone's talking about the same thing, it's wrong. When everyone's talking about regulation, I want to talk about freedom. When everyone's talking about the jobs market's too hot, I want to talk about the fine print showing wage inflation and, pricing power in the labor market is falling. The Fed's fighting the last war, right? So when everybody wakes up one day and goes, wow, things are not what I thought they were, that's when you get big moves. Now, is that happening today? No, but like I said, not winter, off season, right? I woke up yesterday. I saw this thing last night. I woke up this morning like, all right, I got to look at these charts in a whole new way. Like, where's the short dip? What's my no dip strategy? What's my short dip strategy? And what's my big dip strategy? And then what's my head to not get impatient and to just wait and see what the market wants to give me in June? Not easy.
So let me ask you then, we kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show. And actually I want to throw it back. We got a lot of people in the room. We got 259 people, 180 likes. Let's get those likes up. Make sure if you're not doing it yet, follow Bill Noble there at Crypto Noble, youtube.com/@Crypto Noble or twitter.com/crypto_noble. He puts out a lot of great content. And then of course, also over here on BitLab Academy, where's it at? The BitLab Academy page right here at Academy BitLab. Come and retweet and hit the like button on this tweet. You're going to be entered to win. We're giving away 3-month membership to the BitLab Academy courses as well as the BitLab indicators. All you got to do is come and follow us here, hit the like button and retweet. And I just wanted to ask you, tying it back to what we were talking about before in regards to the Fed printing, we've kind of talked into a circle here. What do you think, between now, do you think it's going to the overt or subversive sort of, actual Fed printing dollars or the other sort of mechanisms you talked about? How quickly do you think that's going to take place? Do you think, because right now the budget, the federal budget right now is absolutely, they're basically out there basket weaving and, selling media space, trying to figure out how they can cover things. So how fast do you think, now that we got the debt ceiling, in some ways wrongly increased to infinity again, how quick are we going to get that money printing? And when it does happen, how fast do you think, what do you think the timeline is for that to actually show impact and liquidity in markets?
Okay, so short term, long term. Now, when they did the debt ceiling, they lost credibility. For crypto, that should be a good thing. However, this may cause, a drop in U.S. bonds, right? In other words, bonds may drop, rates may rise, right? Because you have to ask yourself, they're going to need to print, but then there's going to need to be an event that brings them into printing, okay? One of those things could be a loss of faith in U.S. bonds. This is the long bond futures contract. This is a range. You broke down, you came back, the ceiling. The floor is now the ceiling, and our bond market could just go kaput, okay? What brings in money printing is a crisis, and here's the thing that's funny. You know what Jerome Powell really wants? He would love a good crisis. The bond market blows up. The stock market blows up. Whatever, right? It could be bonds like 87. It was interest rates up, bonds down, stocks euphoric, and then stocks crash. Like, the Fed is dying for a crisis. When are you going to see the money printing machine massively? November. Like, that's when I think Powell's coming in huge. He's going to do, $1 trillion a month until the system stabilizes. Because, there's multiple things that can blow up, right? Commercial real estate, banks, and the U.S. Treasury. That's like 3/4 of the world. All right. That's when they come in as a crisis. And that's why I keep saying, don't get distracted. Find places where you can buy a dip. And if it goes down and it's scary, don't get spooked out of the market. That's what you got to train for, to not get spooked out, because wage inflation is lower, which means Powell's loading the bazooka right now. When does he use it? Maybe he starts in July, but he's going to go nuts in November.
So another thing, one of the crises that's also tied into all this that is, And I had Jordan Lindsay on the podcast last night, Crypto Answered. If any of you want to re-listen to that, the recording's on my wall on my Twitter page. But, we were discussing, how much paper asset is out there versus the assets that back those paper assets, and the derivatives market, think of gold, one of the most heavily manipulated markets on the planet, silver. And the silver is what we were speaking to specifically, where they're seeing like something like a 6%, which is a huge amount in a market that large, like a 6% sort of request withdrawal rate right now. And there's a fear that there's not going to be the hard assets to back up, let's be honest, there hasn't been for probably 25 or more years, probably longer than that. The amount of assets needed to back up the paper derivatives sort of trades that are going on, that without any real underlying assets to back up the billions and billions and trillions of dollars that are out there in trade without the assets to back it. If people start calling in those chits and people start closing those positions and start withdrawing assets, that would cause a catastrophe across not only global markets as a whole, Bitcoin, everything, because it would be a shock to the system. So what's your thoughts on that? And I see you got the gold chart pulled up. He argued that they wouldn't let it happen because they have too much interest in those markets. But what's your thought on that fear?
Okay, so there is a huge risk in the gold market. This is how I understand it. There's, every gold bar has more than one owner. So if everybody goes to take delivery at the same time, they can't do it. Now, what you don't realize is the people who sit in between, say, the paper gold market, like the futures, and the people who might want the physical are the biggest banks in the world. So this to me shatters the idea that I could pull my money out of Pac West and put it into JP Morgan and be safe. Okay, safer, but not totally safe. Because at the moment that everybody wants metals, because keep in mind, the media was like everyone's trying to get away from the dollar. Now there's an article every day saying, gold is the new reserve asset. Central banks are buying gold. Now, if you look at this teacup and handle in gold, okay, this has been forming since 2008. Okay, so you have the teacup, you have the handle, which is historically incredibly difficult to trade. It's a pretty formation, right? This is actually, let's do it a 3-month chart, maybe. Okay, let's do it quarterly, so it's a lot easier to see. And the target for this formation, right, goes like this. It's this distance measured from the point of the breakout, which was last quarter. Okay, this puts gold at 3,000. Now, if gold is at 3,000, where's Bitcoin? If gold goes up 50%, where's crypto? Okay, now, if gold goes up 50%, you may have a disturbance in capital markets. The road for crypto could be bumpy. But I think this is just like the way the Bitcoin rally started, right? Gold was moving higher last year when everybody was said the crypto was the end of the world, and it wasn't. So gold went and then Bitcoin followed. This is exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, right? This jobs number's coming out. Gold has not backed off at all, right? If anything, if you look at this candle, right, they broke out of a range. They went up and they've come back and they've retested it. So yeah, it doesn't look like a good candle, but it's just a retest, right? If you go back and maybe you make it a weekly or a 2-week chart, right? You break out, you come back and you retest, right? Here, they couldn't hold it. Here, I think they're gonna, right? In other words, this old level, that ceiling here from January is now the floor. So, okay, is crypto boring? Yeah, but there's stuff developing here that would lead you to believe that, eye in July and let it fly. Keep your eye on July and then let it fly. Because like you said, the idea that the Fed now has the ability with wage inflation falling out of bed, I mean, that is so bullish gold, it's crazy. Because you still do have some inflation out there, but if a Fed can't stop the market, they can't stop risk, if they can't stop stocks, they definitely are not going to be able to stop gold.
So with that being said, though, we got, it feels like, I think I'm just more aware and more tuned in. I want to feel like things are, in terms of like the news coming out, because things are uncertain. Every bit of news seems to be the news that we have to pay attention to. Now we have the debt ceiling stuff done. The Hong Kong applications are open now for digital assets. But now we're looking towards, today we're looking at jobs numbers. Now in 2 weeks, we got the FOMC meeting come up with where they're going to determine what it's going to be the 13th and 14th. The 14th afternoon, about 2 p.m. Eastern time, we get the determination whether or not we're going to get a pause or another interest rate hike. And then, of course, there will be volatility for 30 minutes after that until we get the press conference. And then, is it clear sailing from there? Or, are we going to get, do you believe, we've seen a flip-flopping in the CME futures betting towards, a week ago, it was 70% pause, 30%, 70% hike, 30% pause. And then one comment by one of the people on the Fed board made a comment. And then the next day it flipped, 70% pause, 30% hike. So where do you lie on that? Where do you think is most likely going to happen with that with the Fed based on everything that's going on?
Okay, well, the Fed can make it really easy on itself. We can't pay the interest on the debt if they continue to tighten. So they're either done, right? Like I'm not doing pause anymore, right? They're either are done, or they're going to do one more and be done. And I think Powell has got his dream scenario where he's just going to step up to the mic. He's going to say, we've done 25. We've done one more tightening, and
Bill,
we'll see it. We'll see you in 2024.
If anything, let's be honest. I as a human, I'm compassionate for him, because I could see a situation where he was done just because he's like, I'm tired of these damn press conferences. I mean, he has to do. It's so. I mean, I cannot imagine the stress he's under with the pressures from central banks, but also understand his own sort of ideology of what may be going on, but also seeing the markets, but also seeing banks having issues, but having to see the banks having issues, but then being told to say, here's the line you have to say, banks are strong and resilient, everything's fine. It's like, if he doesn't have an ulcer, I don't know who would.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, man, his autobiography and Janet's autobiography are going to be unbelievable, right? Like, Janet made the mess by printing and then got in and goes, wow, no one wants to buy our debt. Gee, what's happening?
And it's only gotten worse from there. Who wants to buy it now?
Right. So, she's seeing both sides of the coin. Powell's going to step up to the microphone, say, we've done 25 basis points. We've done our job. We're done. We'll see you in 2024. That's what he's going to do, knowing full well that they're going to have to go in the back room and load the bazooka. I mean, they're like, hey, we've tightened. We're done. Thank you very much. But we're good.
All right, Bill. So before we end your segment here, we'll be wrapping up here in we still got about 20 plus minutes, but you got any assets you're looking at? We've talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Ethereum in the digital space, crypto space. You got any assets you feel like have been percolating, just ready to pop? Is it an AI thing? Is it a layer one thing? What's give us a couple of coin TA, and then we'll parlay that into some more TA before we go.
Okay, well, everyone's pretty wound up about Ben. I kind of feel the need to talk about it. So,
okay.
So here's Ben, right? And, in Elliott wave, it can be constructive to have start, stop, right? That's like a coiling process. Now, what we probably need in Ben is boredom. Right? Some sort of basing process. Now, I don't think the fate of all crypto, at least this is what, one of my analysts is telling me, the fate of all crypto does not depend on Ben, but you can see a battle going on at the 78% retracement. I'm just using the last four numbers at 87.98. Now, it's not a bull market unless you can buy a dip and make money. Okay. Now, the amount of, I open up my phone And it's like when I see the flack that BitBoy is taking over this, it's like my phone wants to melt, right? Now, I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong. I know this. I've met Ben Armstrong. He's not stupid, okay? He's not. Now, this is going to prove whether or not this coin is any good, because if there's a consolidation, right? Like boredom is bad. That's what we're going through in Bitcoin. In Ben, boredom might be good because you might be able to settle it down and have a real contest between bulls and bears that lasts like a month. And then you see where this thing can actually break out. See if people actually buy the narrative.
Got to build that base.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I don't want to say the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I don't think that doesn't apply here, but basing can be good, particularly when people have gotten emotional. In other words, let's pretend this is good. If it's good, you're going to see what you call in a chart book accumulation. So if you see accumulation, okay, you know, then people are buying the narrative. Now, obviously, if there's no accumulation, you know, that's a problem for the coin. But right now, it looks like, you know, they keep pressing it and someone keeps bringing it back up. There's still a buyer down there. Okay. So this is a lesson in two things. One, waiting is good. Two, letting the market prove itself before you get in can be important. And three, you know, don't believe everything you read on crypto Twitter, read the chart. You know, and that's how I would really like wrap up altcoins, you know, outside of what I said about XRP.
No, I agree with that as well. And to the case of the Ben coin, you know, I think we also have to understand the development and narrative shift and understanding of that narrative shift, but then also a believing of that narrative shift of Ben being the Ben.eth and then Ben.eth and Ben, and then now just BitBoy, you know, being at the chairman running it. So I think we're going to see the uncertainty play out, and that, you know, that's what you're talking about there, building that base. If there is the underlying, if there are the underlying believers that are around, there will be buyers, and we will get that base. And you know, hopefully we'll see that, because I've seen firsthand the roadmap, not beyond what he's posting online, but like exactly what he and the organization is trying to do there. And I do think it's far more noble than even the people casting stones at BitBoy because they think it's a rug. It's like, do you realize that he's locked up the liquidity so they can't even sell it? And even at the point after 500 million market cap that they can sell, they still are limited to only being able to trade on less than 0.5% of the trading volume that day. So they're basically preventing the ability for anybody to have worry to be rugged. I wish I could see that in more tokens out there, but this is, you know, trading is a speculator's game. And when you're trading, you're battling the psychology and the sentiment of everybody in the space. So we've got to see where that sentiment lands, where that base is, where it develops, where it accumulates, and then how it performs from there. And as you said, time is the worst enemy to people who aren't patient, and the best friend to people who can be. Because if you are patient in markets, you are able to take assets from people who are just donating them to you because they don't have patience. So,
well said.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to share before we wrap up your segment? Any other links? Any other assets? Any gems?
All right. Let me. You know, one thing I've been thinking about is the metaverse. I see all this conflict on the tape, right? I'm trying to get to the chart. I was looking at Render. Render is actually performing pretty good for an altcoin in this market. And I'm asking myself, if you look at, say, a daily chart of this, it's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. That's what I always say. And Render, you have this like stair step action. So, you know, we want to end on a high note. We always want to end on a high note. But, you know, if people want to fight each other, you know, if you go to like Target and Bud Light and this kind of stuff that's going on, maybe it's time to have a little fun. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to hate on each other. And I'm wondering, especially with Ethereum having such a teeny weeny market cap versus NVIDIA, like what's the value of the metaverse? And where's the crossover between AI and the metaverse, right? I mean, do you think you're going to be interacting with your high school friends in the metaverse? No, you're going to be interacting with some sort of artificial intelligence. So I think the metaverse as an AI play is something that's going to come. I just think, you know, if you're doing like value investing, like you're getting ready for the next cycle, I think you got to have a metaverse play. Render comes to mind because that's what's percolating now.
No, yeah, I agree with that, especially, you know, Render, Arweave, Filecoin, the Graph, Singularity. There's a sort of cross section of the infrastructure plays that blend the, you know, infrastructure storage and graphic processing, as well as shared computing, plus the technology tokens, I think are all going to perform very well going into the next cycle, barring any sort of catastrophic security gap or something that they may have or exploit or something. But that's why we have diversified portfolios, everybody, because you may think Render's great. It could have an issue that completely wipes you out. Say this, that's what happened with Luna. I mean, look at Crypto Man Ran, Crypto Banter. He famously had, I think he lost somewhere around $100 million in Luna because he believed in it so much. Now, we hope that doesn't happen for anybody or for any coin in the future, but we have to protect our capital in the way we interact with this market, and from not only the way we trade, but also the way we invest and what we're choosing to put in our portfolios and how we're diversifying in that. But I think that's a good spot to leave it there, Bill. Big love having you on. Everybody, throw a one in chat if you like having Bill on. We have him on, it seems like, every week now. And actually, I'm so used to having him on, I forgot to send him a message last night, so I had to message him at like 6 or 7 a.m. Hey, man, are you able to come on today? He's like, yeah, baby. So we're here. We're going to continue this on. Bill, do you have anything else, your YouTube or anything else you wanted to show before you go?
Yeah, YouTube is at Crypto Noble. So, you know, short videos, three or four live streams a week. Crypto_Noble on Twitter. You know, study up at BitLab. Study up. Time to get ready. Off season. Opening day's coming.
That's right. Opening day is every day. You know, every day you sit down, you got to come back fresh. If you had a bad day yesterday, don't let. There's a great point you just made. It's sort of tailored into this, Bill. I saw a post from one of my friends in New York who actually he's in Boston, has throat cancer, and he's tackling it, and he's doing it with such a. I'm sure he's having a hard time as well, but he's tackling it with such grace. And he shared this quote today. Let me see on his Facebook, and I sort of requoted. I paraphrased it, but requoted it on my page, and it was essentially, where is it at? Beautiful quote from my friend of mine battling health issues. You can't always have a good day, but you can always face a bad day with a good attitude. And it's the same thing is true when you're trading. If you're having, you know, a bad trade and then you trade again and you lose, and then you trade again and lose, most people end up kamikaze trading and sort of revenge trading, and they're like, screw it, there's only this much left, all in 40x, and you lose it all. That speaks to the fact that you don't believe you deserve the capital that you earned. Let's all rectify that. Let's deserve the money that's in our wallet and deserve beyond that. And we can only show that. We can only truly live up to that sort of mind frame by our actions. We have to, if we deserve the money we have, we should practice mechanisms that can keep it. And if we want to risk it by trading, if we want to risk it by investing, if we want, then we need to do it in a smart, capitally allocated way that understands risk management and is doing it methodically with strategy. So otherwise you're literally just gambling, and we all know what the odds are of gambling on the lottery. So why do that? You know, let's make our money work for us rather than letting our emotions steal our capital. But Bill, I appreciate having you on. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be talking again next week.
Sir, we'll see you next week.
Adios, my friend. Everybody, throw those ones in chat if you like, Bill. I saw you did it, but do it again. We're gonna do some Turbo TA here, and then we will break back that. We'll go over and break down. Let me go ahead and exit my Zoom. We'll break down some TA on some things here. I have too many windows on my screen. So before we jump into the TA, make sure right now we're going to be doing the drawing here in just a moment. about 5 minutes. So come over here to at Academy BitLab. Make sure you're following us. Hit that retweet. Hit that like button. This is how you get entered to win. You have 2 options to win today because we also have, we basically shared this, the first hour of the AMA that was really just breaking down everything that's going on in BitLab. I thought everybody else would want to see it as well so they know what's going on in the new BitLab, all the stuff you can get. There's also basically a coupon code for if you haven't joined and also other stuff in here. But come over here, hit that retweet, hit that like button. You get entered to win. Now, it's the second winning. This one is going to be 3 months courses and membership. Courses and indicators. Now, let's go ahead and do some Turbo TA. First, we're going to do some Turbo on-chain, and then we're going to jump right into TA. It looks like right here, the stablecoin supply ratio has dropped quite precipitously. We want to see this start sort of ticking up here. This will probably happen somewhat in tandem with what's going on with Bitcoin, but we tend to see, like we see right here, strong uptick in the stablecoin supply ratio, essentially showing coins being printed. Basically, there's more stablecoin coming into existence on request of basically interest of buying, and we're not seeing that yet. We're getting a little bit of an uptick, but this is just perfect correlation with the price. We actually want to see some move up here. Now, Glassnode, what is this? MVRV Z-score. We're still very, very low on this. This is the market value, which is the price to basically the aggregate price, what you're seeing on exchange, to the realized value. When we're very low, this is trend cycle lows. When we're very high, this is trend cycle tops. This is basically showing when you have large standard deviations above what the realized value, realized price of Bitcoin is. We're still very low. We got a lot of room to run. Coming over here to the number of addresses with over 1,000 Bitcoin. We're getting a little bit of a rounding bottom here. Are we going to start seeing some stronger accumulation come in? That would be nice. We're not seeing it quite yet. We saw it right here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. People capitulating and smart money really really adding to their supply. That's what we're seeing. Excusez-moi. Now, next one. I didn't want to show that one because it didn't. Oh, actually, I did. The realized profit to loss ratio. What I'm looking at here is, the bottoms is when everybody's in loss. Tops is when everybody's in profit for some time. And what we see is when we actually break out to the start of the bull run, we not only break out, but we come back and tap down to this period of loss. And we saw that we broke out right here, tapped back into the loss. We pushed up again, tapped back into the loss just barely, and we're back up again. So we're seeing the same sort of thing play out. Same thing happened here. We pushed up, came back and tapped right at the 0 line and then moved up. Is this something forming? Are we starting to see some things move towards this, bullish impulses happening? Now, what we can also see here, a short-term holder realized price, when we lose it, it's bear market. When we gain it again, we start to forming the base and actually having a strong bull market. Same thing happened right here. We broke through it, strong bull market, lost it. We had all this capitulation area with the global economic shutdown. Same thing happened here, lost it. We've broken out. We've sort of tapped this twice now. What we want to see on these other 2 lines, this is new addresses on 2 different moving averages. And we can see right here, once we break through this faster moving average of new addresses, AKA new retail coming in, hype coming into the market. Once we broke through the short-term holder realized price, was right about the same time we broke through this. We came back and tapped this. Now, of course, we have already broken through this. And this actually somewhat front ran the breaking of the short-term holder realized price. But we're coming back here and tapping this. We didn't get nearly the same size move we had here, but are we going to lose this level or are we going to hold it? This is where we lost it. We can see here. Or is this another indicator that we're kind of getting to that area of sort of hype exhaustion and just boredom in the market, and where the boredom is the signal of something explosive is about to happen? Well, let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. We pushed down, broke down into this golden pocket region. We tapped all the way down to the 786 right here. We could see we have pushed back up, but we were not able to break this high. This is a little concerning that this wasn't able to get. We did break on this move itself, option F to the bottom. On this move itself, we did break through. We could see right here, we did break through the golden pocket, tapped up to the 786. It's funny, we broke down to the 786. Now in the smaller move, we pushed up to the 786. The question here is going to be, what is going to be the narrative here? Are we just going to go sideways? I think it's a little less likely just to completely go sideways here. Or is this going to be this sort of green play that's just a little underextended? We're going to do something like this and then break down. Well, as it stands right now, we're on the 4 hour. Let's look at the 2 hour. This is very neutral. Got bearish sentiment as soon as we started moving up. Quick move down. If we're able to hold this low and work our way up and break these highs, I do think we're going to reattempt up here at this $28,000 level. If we're not able to break this high, then I do think we're going to be pushing down to this level. The only caveat with all this is you can see all these blue boxes, which are part of the mesopic vision here. This is showing order book anomalies, basically order blocks here, and this could be acting as a lot of support, in this region. We could see even these wicks that came down into here got sucked up very quick, pushed down, got pushed. The bulls ate this up very quickly. Now we are forming we did have a lower low here, but we are forming as it stands, a higher low. If we're able to hold this, this would be this would be at least a case against the bears for going down. But as it stands right now, things are still looking somewhat indeterminable. Will this be an inverse head and shoulders? Let's see how this plays out, but that's all we have for this right now. Let's go ahead and jump over to, if you haven't yet, do it right now. Now's your last chance. Come over here, retweet this last 2 tweets we got. You'll be entered. First one's going to be 1 month and of the courses, and we're going to do this right now. What day is it going to be? Let's see. Let's spin it up, baby. Let's do some stretching while we're waiting. What day are we going to do the 1 month free membership? Thursday. That will be yesterday. All right. Let's go ahead. Go ahead and look what day that was, or what tweet that was. So this was today. This was yesterday. So comment. Okay, now let me come over here. Oh, you know what? 1 second. Got to log into my own thing. You logged in, authorize your app, Academy BitLab. Let's get some winners going. Everybody throw some throw something funny in chat. Throw emoji, throw a coin, throw something. Just get this chat popping before we go. Where are you tuned in from? Are you bullish or bearish going into the FOMC meeting? Do you think we will be above the price we're at now or below? Let me know in the comments in the live chat here, but also down below. Do you think the Bitcoin price and Ethereum price will be above or below the price it is right now on June 14th before the FOMC meeting? Now let me know in the chat below and also in the comments. And if you're watching over on Hit Network, make sure that you do come over to BitLab Academy, which is youtube.com/@BitLab Academy. Come give us a follow. We're growing rather quickly. About 4 or 5 months now. We're already 7,280-ish community members here. So come and get involved. So user must like. Okay, now hit the user data. Got it. Now, where's the start button? Okay, this is the 1 month membership to the courses. Derek Heretics, you get 1 month. Mods, can you send me that in the, take a screenshot or something, send this to me in the Discord mod chat. I will make sure to take care of that. Now, the next one is going to be just from today's bigger tweet, which is this one right here. Copy. Now, this is going to be, go ahead and reload. Now we are going to, let's see, 3 month courses and indicators. Let's do it. 41 people. Let's see who's going to get the 3 month on 3 month, baby. Hope it's somebody live in chat right now. Mitch Shaw, I believe you may have won. Have you won in the past month or two? I will do a backup just in case. I cannot remember if you have won. You know what? We'll do 2. We'll do 2 just in case you have one. We'll do 2 of these. How about that? Pick another winner. Start. Hitman's Weendog. All right. This is another, we're going to do 2. I'm not sure if, if you had one of the 1 month ones, Mitch Shaw will upgrade you. Just want to make sure we're getting multiple different winners on here from different sorts of time frames and all the different things. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'm going to head over to BitLab, to BitBoy Crypto now. I'm going to be doing some TA on there. So come throw in some positive comments. Talk about how much you love the stream over here. Get people involved. Be positive. We are empowerment force in the space. That's what we're about. That's what we're bringing as a community. I love you all. I hope you all have really a wonderful weekend. Make sure you get outside of the charts. Get involved. I'm going to be in the Discord a bit this weekend as well. Maybe I'll do an extra stage on there. So if you're not involved in the Discord, there's a free area there as well, but only the paying members are able to, you know what I'm saying? Only the paying members are able to get it on the stage area. So I'd love you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. And that's all I got. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Bring me a higher low. Hit that like button, sucker.